Welcome to our deep dive on PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder.
Yeah.
You sent in some really fascinating material.
Mm-hmm.
It's obvious that you're already pretty knowledgeable about this topic.
Right.
But, maybe together we can uncover some of the
Absolutely.
most surprising and useful information from it all.
Yeah, I think what's really striking about PMDD is
Yeah.
the amount of misunderstanding surrounding it.
Right.
It's so often just brushed off as bad PMS,
Mm-hmm.
but the reality is so much more complicated.
And this is what I love about deep dives,
Yeah.
right? We get to go beyond that surface level.
Exactly.
And really explore something like PMDD, which, based on the sources you sent,
Mm-hmm.
can have such a profound impact on a person's life.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the researchers even calls it a silent epidemic,
Wow.
which I thought was a powerful way to really underscore
Yeah.
the seriousness of PMDD.
It really emphasizes the impact, doesn't it?
It does.
Because it's not just a bad day or two. It's
Right.
this persistent. Yeah.
And it can be really debilitating disruption
Mm-hmm.
to everyday life.
And I think, maybe a lot of people listening,
Yeah.
or even myself, before reading through this material,
Right.
might have thought, oh, well, maybe I get a little irritable before my period. Maybe that's PMDD.
Exactly.
But it's so much more than that.
Yeah, the emotional and physical symptoms are way more
Mm-hmm.
intense and debilitating than
Yeah.
just regular PMS.
Yeah.
Like we're talking extreme mood swings,
Yeah.
severe depression,
Yeah.
even debilitating anxiety and anger.
Yeah. And, reading through these sources, what really stood out to me
Yeah.
was the way that the physical symptoms were described.
Mm-hmm.
The fatigue, the headaches, joint pain.
Mm.
Like, it's not just, a mild discomfort.
Right.
This is described as being so severe that it can make it hard to function.
Exactly.
And I'm like-
And I think that's actually one of the reasons why PMDD is so often misdiagnosed, because the symptoms can overlap with so many other conditions.
Like depression, anxiety, even thyroid disorders.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of a chameleon in the medical world.
And then I think there's the added layer of societal
I'd say-
stigma
Oh,
around menstruation in general, right?
Yeah.
This is something that came up time and time again
it did, yes.
in the articles that you chose.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we still see this tendency
Yeah.
to downplay women's experiences with their menstrual cycles.
Right.
So many women are just dismissed, told it's just hormones, or it's all in your head. And that prevents them from seeking help or even recognizing that they might have a real
Right.
treatable condition.
Going through all of this material
Yeah.
is just really eye-opening to me, the level of frustration
Yeah.
and invalidation that so many women with PMDD experience.
It's truly heartbreaking.
It is.
And it underscores the need for greater awareness,
Yes.
both among medical professionals and just, the general public.
Yeah.
We have to create spaces where women feel comfortable
Yeah.
discussing their experiences and seeking the support they need.
So let's say someone listening is thinking, okay, maybe this is me, maybe I have PMDD.
Yeah.
What's the first step they should take?
Well, one of the sources had a great suggestion.
Okay.
Start tracking your symptoms.
Okay.
Just keep a journal
Mhm.
for at least 2 menstrual cycles,
Yeah.
just noting any physical and emotional changes that you're experiencing, and that can help you identify patterns
Yeah.
and determine if your symptoms are consistently aligning with your premenstrual phase.
That's a great starting point.
Right.
Just to be able to become your own advocate
Exactly.
and have that more informed conversation with your doctor.
Absolutely.
And speaking of doctors, the research you provided covered a lot of ground
It did, yes.
when it comes to treatment options. So let's dive into that a little bit.
Okay.
So traditionally, PMDD has been approached with medications
Yeah.
like antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, or hormonal therapies.
Yeah.
For example, SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors,
Mm-hmm.
are commonly prescribed for the mood-related symptoms,
Right.
and then NSAIDs for pain management,
Exactly.
which, on the surface makes sense.
Yeah.
But one thing that I noticed as I was going through the research
Mm-hmm.
was this discussion about how these traditional treatments
Yeah.
don't always work.
Right.
There were a number of personal accounts,
Yeah.
even research studies,
Yeah.
that were highlighting this.
Exactly.
So why is that?
Well, I think it comes down to the complexity of PMDD. While those medications might provide some relief for specific symptoms,
Yeah.
they often don't address the root cause.
And that's where things start to get really interesting, right?
They do. Absolutely.
Because we're not just dealing with a simple fix.
No.
It's a much bigger conversation than that.
It is.
So it seems like PMDD is really unique to each person experiencing it.
Yeah.
So finding the right treatment must be a bit like detective work, huh?
Oh, it really is. And one of the things that I noticed as a recurring theme in all this research you sent was the emphasis on this holistic approach.
Yeah.
It's not just about, masking the symptoms. It's about understanding and addressing the whole person.
And that makes a lot of sense when we consider the emotional toll of PMDD, which we haven't even gotten into yet.
Right.
Some of the firsthand accounts that you shared were so powerful. I mean, it's so clear that PMDD impacts way more than just our physical health.
It's not just physical, no.
Yeah.
It's very much an emotional and mental component as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Imagine feeling like you're at war.
I know.
With your own body and mind every month.
Every single month. And that's the reality for a lot of women with PMDD.
They're experiencing these incredibly intense emotions, but they feel totally powerless.
Yeah, it's that feeling of lack of control.
Right.
That can be so debilitating.
One of the articles even described it as this Jekyll and Hyde transformation.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a powerful way
it is
to really capture the experience.
It is.
Because it's not just feeling a little down.
Right.
This is like a dramatic shift.
It is.
In your whole emotional state.
Yeah, and on top of that, it can be utterly exhausting.
Yeah.
Because not only are you grappling with these intense emotions, but there's also this added layer of self-doubt and guilt that so often comes along with it.
Going through these sources, I was struck by how many women talked about that feeling of isolation.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, like you're trapped in this cycle of suffering, but you feel like nobody understands what you're going through.
And that's why finding that support system is crucial, whether it's through therapy or support groups, or even just, online communities, just connecting with others who get it.
Right.
Can make a world of difference.
One of your sources actually mentioned a specific online forum dedicated to PMDD.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so interesting. It's like creating this virtual safe space.
It is.
Where women can share their experiences and find resources.
Yeah.
Offer each other support.
It's about building a community.
Right.
And, dismantling that stigma.
That surrounds PMDD.
Exactly.
Reminding women they're not alone in this.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about traditional treatments, the holistic approach, the emotional impact of PMDD.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Well, I think it starts with awareness.
Yeah.
The more we talk about PMDD, the more we educate ourselves and others, the better equipped we'll be to support those who are struggling.
And early intervention.
Oh, absolutely.
Seems key.
Yeah.
Right. If we can identify and address PMDD in younger women, perhaps we can avoid years of suffering.
Exactly. And this goes back to what we were discussing about the need for a more personalized approach to treatment.
Because one thing that was very clear from all the research you sent is that PMDD is not one size fits all.
Not at all.
Right.
What works for one woman might not work for another.
Yeah.
It's about finding that right combination of therapies, lifestyle changes, coping mechanisms that really address each individual's needs.
And that might also mean exploring
absolutely.
Some alternative treatment options too.
Yeah, several of the sources you provided mention things like acupuncture, yoga, herbal remedies.
It's fascinating. To see how traditional medicine and these complementary therapies are kind of coming together to offer a more well-rounded approach.
Yeah, and I think it's not just about finding the right treatments. It's also about empowering women to become active participants in their own healing.
Such an important point.
Yeah.
Right. It's about encouraging them to advocate for themselves.
Exactly.
Do their research, find healthcare professionals who really understand their experience.
Exactly.
So as we start to wrap up this deep dive, I think it's important to circle back to something you said earlier about PMDD being a complex condition. And it's clear that we still have a lot to learn.
We do, and that's why research is so vital. We need to keep investigating the underlying causes of PMDD, exploring new treatment options, and finding ways to improve the lives of the millions of women who are affected.
Absolutely. Yeah. It strikes me, as we've been digging into all this research, that PMDD isn't just a personal condition. It's societal, too.
It really is. And that stigma that surrounds menstruation, the lack of awareness about PMDD definitely makes it even harder for women to get diagnosed and get proper treatment.
I mean, one of the studies that you sent mentioned that it takes an average of 10 years for women to get a correct diagnosis.
That's incredible.
Of PMDD.
Yeah, it's a decade.
It's a decade.
Of feeling misunderstood.
Of feeling dismissed.
Yeah.
Like you just have to suffer through it.
Exactly. And that's a real stark reminder of just how much work we still need to do to educate healthcare providers and the public.
About PMDD.
About PMDD, yeah.
But, thankfully, the research wasn't all doom and gloom.
No, not at all.
There was a lot of really promising stuff in there.
There was.
In terms of treatment options, ongoing research.
Yeah, we're seeing a shift towards those personalized approaches that blend traditional therapy with lifestyle changes and those alternative treatments.
And I think that increased focus on mental health is really encouraging.
It's very encouraging, yeah.
One of the things that I kept noticing throughout your sources was this emphasis on the mind-body connection.
Yes.
It seems like PMDD treatment is about more than just managing symptoms.
Right. It's about giving women the tools to really take control of their well-being.
Their overall well-being.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that includes, self-compassion.
Yeah.
Developing coping mechanisms, building that support network.
Exactly.
It makes me think back to that online forum that we discussed. Do you think all this increased awareness of PMDD online is helping to break down the stigma?
I think it's playing a huge role.
Yeah.
Because online platforms really give women that space to connect with others who really get what they're going through, to share information, to advocate for more research and support.
It's like taking back the narrative, right?
It is.
And creating a sense of community.
Exactly.
So you don't feel so alone.
Absolutely. And it gives a voice to those who might not feel comfortable talking about it offline.
Right.
It's a safe space to share those stories.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, it really leaves me wondering.
Yeah.
Knowing everything that we've learned about PMDD, how might early recognition and intervention really change the game for young women in the future?
It's such an important question. And just imagine a world where, young girls are educated about PMDD. Symptoms are caught early. Support is available.
It could be life-changing. Right?
It could be absolutely transformative. Instead of years of suffering. They would have the tools to manage their symptoms.
And thrive.
Exactly.
The vision we're striving for.
Absolutely. And it starts with research, education, open conversations.
Just like we're having today.
Exactly.
So to our listeners, if you are struggling with PMDD, please know that you are not alone.
You're not alone.
There are resources available.
Yes.
And there's hope for a brighter future.
Absolutely.
So don't be afraid to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
Seek out that support. Keep learning.
Keep learning it.
Remember, even though PMDD is challenging,
it is.
It doesn't have to define you.
It does not.
With the right support and approach, you can reclaim your life and thrive. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into PMDD.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep the conversation going.